James André is joining us from the Israeli city of Tel Aviv. James, a fresh violence again in the West Bank overnight. What more do we know about these latest Israeli strikes?
Yes, well, absolutely. The raids are just happening daily in the occupied West Bank. And indeed, well, yesterday there was an airstrike on a Balata camp that is indeed inside Nablus. It is a neighborhood that is known to have a lot of young pro-Palestinian militants. And indeed, well, the Israeli army has confirmed this strike along with the Shin Bet. They said they were attacking a explosive production lab. Now, this is just the last in a long series of attacks. The day before, there were 5 killed in Jenin, 2 more in Nablus, and that, of course, is fueling anger in the West Bank, where over 200 Palestinians have been killed since the 7th of October. It was just over 30 in the 10 first months of the year. So that gives you an idea of the flare in violence in the occupied West Bank. So yesterday, with the team, with Julie Dungelhoff and Taoufik Mjayed, we were in Ramallah, and we were able to talk to Nabil Abu Rodeina. He is the spokesperson for Mahmoud Abbas. We spoke to him at the Muqata, and this is what he had to say.
The Gaza crisis has also spread to the West Bank. 5 dead today, 7 dead yesterday. There is a forgotten war in the West Bank, a war waged by the settlers with the support of the Israeli army. This was the subject of our talks with an American delegation 2 days ago and with Joseph Borrell today, who has just left.
And James, how real then is the risk of the conflict in Gaza spilling over into the West Bank?
Well, it's very real indeed. I mean, yesterday ourselves, we were at a checkpoint waiting to go through, and basically the car in front, to give you an idea, was searched by Israeli soldiers, and after just a few seconds, they started aiming their weapon at the driver at point blank. It was a very tense example of what's going on in the West Bank. Now, the anger is coming from the fact also that the Israeli army has set up checkpoints between all the major cities on the roads, which makes moving from one city to another extremely complex. And then there is the daily violence by armed settlers against the Palestinians in the West Bank, which is making things extremely difficult. But lastly, the other thing is, of course, permits are no longer being delivered by the Israelis to authorize Palestinians who work in the rest of the country to be able to cross the checkpoints into Israel itself. And that is making the economic situation in the West Bank catastrophic. Yesterday, we spoke to a young man in his 30s. He was standing on the street corner and telling us that basically he's a decorator and he hasn't been able to work for 45 days now. Also, we spoke to a shopkeeper telling us that his his sales had dropped 50% since the 7th of October, and that he was wondering how he was going to get by and feed his family. So what we have here is very difficult conditions to move around in the occupied West Bank, a catastrophic economic situation, and daily calls for the people to come out and protest. That, of course, one of these protests could very, very well turn into a full-blown riot, and this is what Volker Turk, who is the High Commissioner of the UN for Human Rights, is worried about. He says the situation is explosive.
James, thank you so much for that update. That's our senior reporter, James André, joining us live from Tel Aviv.